Welcome! You're listening to Making Relationships Work. We're a company focused on women and their marriage. We lead and teach women just like you how to grow into and access, whenever you need to, your wise woman's self. The part of you who is deeply connected to your purpose, your innate wisdom, and your husband and family. We teach women in marriages how to rebuild trust and connection, to work through conflicts, no matter how deep, no matter how painful, and to lead your marriage to a place where the two of you experience marriage mastery. This podcast is about learning the systems and techniques that truly work to reconnect you back into your marriage so that you can experience the freedom that comes with a masterful marriage. Since this podcast is totally free, if you're getting tons of value and you want to support us and make sure that you get more of this good stuff, subscribe below and rate and review our podcast today. Now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Hello, women making marriages work. Hello, friends watching from YouTube on our Making Relationships Work channel. And hello, people listening on one of our podcasts, also called Making Relationships Work. And it's wonderful to be back here with you tonight. We are talking about a really hard topic today, a really big, meaty, painful topic. And that topic is around affairs, and specifically what happens when an affair is revealed. And that's a really big conversation. And the reason why it's a big conversation is that I think it is one of the most momentous moments in a person's life when an affair is revealed. And it's momentous because when that affair is revealed, the entire foundation is disrupted. The entire sense of safety and belonging and connection vanishes. The person who is, hello, Coach Amy, the person who is the hurt partner, and that's the name we have for the person who the affair happened to, as in their partner or their husband or their wife has had the affair and has then revealed the affair. So we call that person the hurt person. And the hurt person is just full of big feelings and full of this deep chasm of how did this happen and how do I ever recover from it? And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So when there's an affair reveal, there's always huge emotions, always. And in those huge emotions, what tends to happen is all the pent up, simmering, non-resolved, stone in your shoe, bitterness, complexities, unresolved hurts and traumas and angers and resentments all come to the surface too. And so it's sort of like it's been smooth-ish, and then the affair is revealed and all hell breaks loose. And when that happens, a couple is typically very inequipped to deal with it. Because let's face it, if all of those things have been moving along this whole time, and we haven't been able to see them, and we haven't been able to do it differently, now is not the time that we're going to be able to do it differently. Does that make sense? So we've got this really big surfacing of huge feelings, and the hurt person, understandably, has the biggest hurt feelings. And then, of course, there's the reason why the other person had the affair and all of the history the two of them have that led to the separation of, or the fragmenting of the marriage enough to allow another person in. And so you've got lots of pieces that all kind of erupt at the same time. And when that eruption happens, the couple has no idea what to do. And so what happens in that moment is they usually go one of two ways. The first thing that will happen is they will try and avoid talking about it, and there'll be a silence, or kind of like a cold silence, not a happy silence, or they'll move the other direction. And in that other direction, what happens is this up till 4 a.m. round and tears and anger and huge messy feelings everywhere, where the person who will call the hurt person wants to know all the details. When did you do it? How did you do it? What did she or he look like or wear? Why are they better than me? How did you specifically have sex or engage in intimacy with that person? How long has it been going on for? Which specific dates? Like all of that stuff. And so that just explodes. And again, the couple has no idea how to work through that. And what happens in that moment is that we do more and more and more and more damage. And when we do more and more damage, you know what happens then? We get further and further and further apart. And so the couple is really ill-equipped to be able to work through this in a way that allows them to truly repair and to truly build something where the strength of the two of them is enough to keep out an affair partner. Does that make sense? And so let's talk about what it feels like if you are the hurt person and what you'll be going through. And it might be easier if I assume, and you know, both people are very equipped to have an affair, males and females, have them at similar-ish rates. So I'll assume that it's you, my beautiful women, who are the hurt person. But it's just as possible that you've had the affair yourself. So then you just switch it to your husband, because these experiences I'm about to talk you through happen whether you're a male or a female. And so when that affair is revealed, and that circular conversation where you stay up all night and all day and all night and all day and all night and you're trying to fix it, but actually you're making it worse. When that happens, plus the actual impact of the affair reveal, the hurt person goes through a series of feelings which can linger in their nervous system. And so they start to imagine the details of the affair. And we talked about this a bit, which is why the hurt person wants to have this unrelenting conversation to understand, why did you do this to me? Why did you not love me enough to not do this? And so they start to fill in the gaps of what they don't know. So they might go through phones, they might go through emails, but they also will become a very vigilant detective. So all of a sudden, their sense of safety and trust is compromised, and they are looking everywhere for the answers, hoping that those answers provide the feeling of regaining stability, finding their feet. And so they start to imagine the affair details. They imagine that the woman or the man is better than them in other ways, or they put themselves as better than the other person. And in doing so, their brain is trying to save them from the pain that they're experiencing, which of course makes sense. So the other thing is that it leaves a mark on the nervous system when an affair is revealed, like any kind of traumatic incident. So it's like when you have had a car accident and you remember the moment of impact and it slows down. That is very often what happens for people, women, we'll say at this point, who have an affair revealed to them. That moment where their life changed, it's like they have an out-of-body experience. They leave their body, they can see what's happening, their body is numb, and their sense of safety is fragmented in that split second. And so they relive that moment over and over again as their brain tries to make sense and their nervous system tries to make sense of what just happened. And so then, of course, we have the coping mechanisms come in. Yeah. So we start, the affair's revealed, and so now we start to avoid it. We freeze you out. We leave the house, or we ask you to leave the house. All of those things are designed to reduce the emotional stress that we feel because we are the hurt person. And numbing. So these are, well, you engage in a series of behaviors, don't you, to numb. So you might use apps on your phone and game. You might use social media. You might use gambling or alcohol or drugs or anything you can do that allows that sense of whole body fight, flight, freeze, fear, terror, extreme pain response to diminish. So we are avoiding and numbing to try and make that feeling go away. Then we start to detach. We're like, well, you're the person who hurt me, and I can't be near you. I can't be around you. I don't want to be with you anymore. And so I'm cutting the cords essentially between you and I, which is very hard to do in a marriage. Yeah. Cutting the cords, and I'm leaving my body. That's disassociation. I'm going to go up to a safe place where I'm not able to be hurt anymore. Or I'll isolate myself from my friends, from my family, from my work, from my community, from you. Or I will imagine the future and it's bleak. There's nothing that I can see that's any good. And there's nothing that I can imagine where life will feel good again. And so with these coping mechanisms comes this impairment of being able to be intimate, to being able to enjoy sex, or to use those two things to come closer to repair. And so there's an impairment in those. And this can be a longer term impairment. So we're kind of focusing this on those early days of the affair being revealed. But even 6 months, 12 months, 2 years later, these impairments can still be there if that person hasn't worked through a process of genuinely repairing themselves. Does that make sense? And so what happens is we have this hyper-arousal. And the hyper-arousal just means your body is kind of buzzing all the time. And it's doing that as a defender. It's doing that to try and make sure that this big secret that came out of nowhere, that's blindsided you, isn't going to happen again. And of course, it's pretty ineffective to be hyper-aroused. It might work for a short term, but it doesn't work for a long-term good life. You and I both know that. And so the hyper-arousal, when it's there for a long time, actually starts to do quite a lot of damage. The next things that we see typically are this hypervigilance. And the hypervigilance means maybe I've found a way to move forward with my husband and I just can't relax that he's not doing it again. I can't find my feet and my certainty and my security and my sense of well-being and my sense of belonging here and relax in it anymore, because last time he, and remember this could be you as well, last time he revealed this massive secret and really broke out, it kind of shattered our marriage. The first marriage that we were in, this marriage we had together, is demolished and it can't be resurrected. It didn't work. And that's a really important moment, because marriage one, we call it, will very often be something that we need to work through and process and not resurrect. In fact, part of the healing process, which is skipping ahead a little bit, is to build marriage two. We process what happened in marriage one that didn't work, and we start to build marriage two within the same couple. Okay, so it's just a different way of looking at it. The other thing that happens is to the hurt person is anger fits and this sense of irritability. And that just means that it's kind of bubbling in them all the time. And perhaps this is quite a scary thing, I think, for the person who had the affair, to watch their partner just not be able to stabilize. These peaks of anger, these constant irritability starts to really grind on the marriage when the marriage is in trouble anyway, right? But it starts to just wind down the marriage, and all of a sudden there's just this bleak future. Like there's been an affair and we tried to work it out afterwards, and maybe we even saw a counsellor, and most of the time counsellors actually do more harm than good in affairs. But we tried to do that, but you're still angry at me, you're still hypervigilant, and I told you I wouldn't do it again. You know, there's this sense of we're trying to fix this, so why are you still angry? Why are you still irritable? And that, of course, is because it hasn't been processed as a couple. The two of them don't feel, the affair partner might feel safe because they're in control, right? They're the ones who had the affair and they know they finished it. But the hurt partner doesn't feel that safety because they haven't had any say in being the partner of someone who had an affair. And so then what happens is all of these kinds of big feeling and nervous system responses, you start to see problems in sleep. Yeah, of course you can't sleep. And so you start having disordered sleeping, and you and I both know when you don't get enough sleep, you probably then don't eat very well. And then when you're not eating and you're not sleeping, then you lose this powerful sense of being able to influence your environment through yourself. So you feel weak, you feel like a victim, you feel unsupported, you feel like you don't belong, you feel untethered. And that doesn't help you lead your marriage back to where you want it to be either. And then, of course, you start to get this exaggerated and strong startle response. And this is linked to that hypervigilance. It's linked to that nervous system where you're very jumpy all the time. And so you get that jumpiness because loud noises and things that frighten you have been coded in your brain as really problematic, because the last time you had a news broken to you that was earth-shattering, you didn't see it coming. So your brain starts to look to not be on the back foot again. That's the hypervigilance. And so the startle response, that startle reflex in you gets dialed in so that you're picking up the cues way stronger and way earlier than others would. And you're picking up those cues because your body's trying to protect you from having to go through something as big as the psychological trauma of finding out that your partner's had an affair. And so these big feelings happen at the beginning of an affair being revealed, but they also will just keep happening unless something is done. And that something is working through what just happened. And it's working through it in a specific way that allows the person, the affair partner and the hurt partner, to be able to truly process where they are and how they got here, and then to start to build something that they both want. So if this is you, if you are someone who has just had an affair revealed to you, or you are someone who has just revealed an affair, you need to understand that when you reveal an affair, everything is unstable. And when everything is unstable, there is no safe place to recover. There is no safe place to land. And that is the most difficult part about an affair being revealed, is that the very foundations of your life that you depend on to feel safe has gone. And when that has gone, there is this sense of, will I ever be okay ever again? And that starts to permeate the future. And because you don't have a safe place to land, you don't have the energy to, or this place to recover your energy, and so therefore you don't have the energy to pursue a true repair, you start to use that kind of negative part of your brain to cope, the one that denies and blames and justifies and defends. You start to use your criticism and you show contempt, and all of those things, whilst understandable, they actually don't allow this situation to be resolved. They make it worse, and therefore the hurt person feels worse. And so we need to be able to interrupt that negative downward spiral and turn it into something that allows true healing to happen. And by doing that, we start to process what just happened so that we can find our stable feet. When we've found our feet, then we can start to make decisions that are the best things for us. Okay? So when we're talking about the hurt person's main problems or main concerns are that it's not possible for them to truly ever recover. They are also worried they'll always feel a sense of betrayal and this hesitancy to recommit. And they worry that they'll never feel safe again. And those three things underlie all of the conversations that they have with the affair partner, so the person who had the affair. And in having that as their core key worry and core key belief, we have an opportunity then to address those things and to truly help rewrite the foundations so that they really are safe again. So we can do that. But we need to be very clear that the affair partner has this very huge responsibility to show up in a way that says, I did it wrong. I should never have done it. The affair has ended. I will never do it again. And I'll do whatever it takes to show you that I will never do it again and that I'm sorry. And when we have an affair partner who shows up like that consistently, and you have the processes that allow you to deeply and truly process marriage one, then you truly can build marriage two in that same couple. Yeah, so we're not talking about breaking the marriage. We're just recognizing that the first marriage, that's my cue, that it's nearly time for me to go, that the first marriage hasn't worked. So we need to clear that out. We need to process that out. And then we need to build you a marriage that will work. And so when we can do that, what we get to have is a marriage that is stronger than ever, even if there was an affair in it, even if they went through kind of hell and back and found each other again. And so you can truly recover and repair a marriage that has had a betrayal or an infidelity in it. You can truly bring yourself to a place where you are the happiest you have ever been, the two of you genuinely. That is possible. Not only that, it is what you should be looking for in somebody who is helping you move through it. That person should have full belief and know exactly how they're going to move you from marriage one, which is disintegrated and no good, and it's really got to be repaired and processed. The good bits are taken, but the rest of it is processed. And then they need to know how to move you into marriage too, and how to help you design that marriage so that the two of you feel loved and held and understood, and you are able to bring up and talk through hard things, where you stay connected like a we, not two me's. Yeah. And that is what your goal is. So if you're using a therapist to do that, you will need to be very sure that they can do that. Do you know why? Because you've got one shot at fixing it once an affair has been revealed, and you've got to do it quickly. The longer you leave it, the more likely you are that you're going to have long-term damage and then separation. So if an affair is revealed, get yourself some help immediately. Interview the person before you get the help. Don't do a $30 copay with your local counselor down the road who has no idea how to fix this with you, who has no leadership or governance or systematic kind of evidence-based protocols to help you with. Don't do that. Don't put this marriage in that person's hands. Find yourself someone who will do an intensive protocol with you that allows you to feel safe and secure and to truly repair this marriage. And you're going to want to ask what their success rates are. And you're going to want to be super sure that the two of you are going to do this together. Because in general couples therapy, the two of you need to be in this to repair it. Now, if you don't have the luxury of a husband that wants to come to couples counseling with you, then you need to watch my masterclass. And if you have already been to a counselor who was ineffective, you need to watch my masterclass. And you probably need to book a call with us. So we have this, we deal with this all the time. We have wonderful outcomes, and we would like to help you if this is where you and your marriage are. We would like to talk with you and make sure you have exactly what you need in this very volatile and intimate and kind of life-changing moment where you can go this way and have a whole different life, or you can go this way and have a completely different life. And I want you to have the life that means the most to you. And if that is around saving your marriage and truly repairing and working it through, I want to hear from you, and I really want to make sure that you've got everything you need. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to watch that masterclass because there's going to be skills in there that you'll need. It doesn't speak specifically to affairs. So if there is an affair that's just been revealed, or you are still working towards recovering from an affair, you're going to want to book a call so that we can get really clear on what exactly you need to do in order to repair that marriage. Now, my loves, I can't see if there's any questions here today, so I'm going to sign off now, and I'll see you here next week. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I love working here with you on these really big and brutal topics. So if you have a topic you want me to talk about, there's a thread in the Women Making Marriages Work closed Facebook group. You just have to search for it, and you can add what you want in there. And when you add that in there, I periodically review and then I will speak to one. So this is one of those ones. What happens when you have an affair? How do you recover from an affair? And this is kind of like that one I did earlier in the week on addiction and substance abuse and dependence, where it's pretty tricky to be able to do it all in a Facebook Live video. So we might do a few of these, because this is really about what it feels like when an affair is revealed and what you need to do. But there's lots of pieces to the affair recovery kind of paradox. So we might pick that up another day. All right, my darlings, I'll see you all here next week. Have a wonderful weekend. I love you. And if you're not in our Women Making Marriages Work Facebook group, I invite you to come over. We have a wonderful time over here. And I'll see you all very soon. Much love, darlings. See you later.